Every time you pull a weed, you are doing quantum mechanics. The electron transfers happening between your skin and the soil operate at scales where classical physics breaks down. Quantum tunneling governs how electrons move between molecules at the atomic boundary of your body and the Earth. Your body is exchanging atoms with the soil, atoms that will outlast you by 1 billion years. Gardening is not a hobby. It is the only activity where you are physically rehearsing what happens after death. Your skin sheds roughly 30,000 dead cells every hour you spend outside, and those cells fall into the most biologically active substance on the surface of the Earth. They do not disappear. They enter a system, and that system is already turning them into something else, into soil, into roots, into the food growing 6 feet from where you are kneeling. The exchange runs in both directions, and the physics of how it works may change the way you think about what a garden actually is. Those 30,000 cells, each one carrying your DNA, your unique skin bacteria, your volatile organic compounds, land on the most biologically dense substance on the surface of the planet. A single teaspoon of healthy garden soil contains between 100 million and 1 billion bacteria, not scattered randomly, organized into structured communities, bacterial colonies, fungal networks, protozoa grazing on bacteria, the way deer graze on grass, nematodes threading through the spaces between soil particles, mites and springtails visible only under magnification. More living organisms in that teaspoon of soil than there are humans on Earth. Your dead skin cells enter this ecosystem the way a leaf enters it when it falls from a tree, as raw material, as food. Soil bacteria break your cells apart. The first thing to go is the phospholipid membrane, the thin fatty envelope that held each cell together while it was alive. Soil enzymes called phospholipases cleave the phosphate heads from the lipid tails, releasing phosphorus in a form that plant roots can absorb directly. Inside the broken cell, your DNA, the nitrogen-rich double helix, is dismantled by bacterial nucleases. The nitrogen locked in your adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine bases is mineralized, first into ammonium by soil bacteria, then oxidized into nitrite, and nitrate by nitrifying bacteria of the genera Nitrosomonas and Nitrobacter. That nitrate, which was, last week, part of the genetic code in your skin, is now in a form that plant roots preferentially absorb. Your genetic material becomes plant nutrition. Carbon follows a parallel path. Your carbon, the same atoms that were part of your living skin an hour ago, is metabolized by soil microorganisms and incorporated into their own biomass. Some is respired as carbon dioxide and returned to the atmosphere. Some is converted into humic substances, the dark, stable organic matter that gives healthy soil its rich color and its particular smell. That smell, you know it. Everyone who has ever turned a spade of fresh earth recognizes it instantly. A deep, clean, slightly sweet scent that most people associate with rain on dry ground. It is caused by a compound called geosmin, produced by soil bacteria of the genus Streptomyces. The human nose can detect geosmin at concentrations as low as 5 parts per trillion. We are more sensitive to this compound than to almost any other molecule on Earth. When you smell garden soil, you are smelling the metabolic output of organisms that are, among other things, processing the cells you shed the last time you were here. You see, this is not poetry. This is the carbon cycle operating at the scale of your own body. The atoms that were part of your skin this morning are part of the soil microbial community by this afternoon. Within weeks, some of those carbon atoms will be incorporated into the root systems of your plants, drawn up through the mycorrhizal networks that connect fungal threads to plant roots, transported through xylem and phloem into stems, leaves, fruit. Within 3 months, the carbon atoms you shed into the soil today could be in a tomato growing 6 feet from where you are kneeling. Your body is not just in the garden. Your body is becoming the garden, continuously, every time you are there. And the network those atoms travel through is older than anything you have ever touched. Underneath every garden, every meadow, every forest floor, every patch of unmowed grass, there is a physical network of fungal threads called hyphae. each one thinner than a human hair, extending through the soil in every direction, connecting plant roots to one another across distances of meters, sometimes hundreds of meters. This is the mycelium network. It is, by some measures, the oldest communication system on the planet, operating for roughly 450 million years, since before animals existed on land, since before insects, since before anything with a backbone crawled out of the ocean. Suzanne Simard, a forest ecologist studying old-growth forests in British Columbia, demonstrated that trees connected by these fungal networks actively transfer carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, and chemical defense signals to one another through the threads. A Douglas fir shaded by its neighbors, unable to photosynthesize enough to survive on its own, receives carbon from a neighboring birch through the mycelial web. A tree under insect attack sends chemical alarm signals through the network, and neighboring trees upregulate their defensive compounds before the insects arrive. Simard called the largest, oldest, most connected trees, mother trees, hubs that disproportionately support younger trees around them. When a mother tree is dying, it dumps its remaining carbon and nutrient stores into the network, feeding the next generation through the same connections that sustained it. Push a trowel into your garden soil and you sever some of those threads. Mycelial hyphae are fragile. A single spadeful of earth breaks thousands of connections that took weeks or months to grow. But the network repairs itself. Within days, new hyphae extend from the severed ends, seeking the chemical signals of nearby roots, re-establishing the links. When you plant a seedling and press the soil around its roots, you are connecting that seedling to the network, giving it access to a communication system that predates every human civilization by 400 million years. Imagine you could film your garden through a single season and play back only the underground footage, speed it up, a time-lapse of the soil beneath your feet from April to October. You would see the mycelium as a living web, constantly extending, branching, connecting, breaking where your trowel cuts, regrowing within days. You would see your skin cells falling into this web and being consumed by bacterial colonies clustered along the fungal threads. You would see carbon atoms, your carbon atoms, moving from bacterial biomass into the mycelium, then through the mycorrhizal connections into plant roots, up through stems, into the fruit hanging in the August sun. In that time lapse, the boundary between you and the garden would not be visible. Just atoms moving through a network, following the thermodynamics of decomposition and growth. Look at your hands. If you have gardened recently, you may still have soil under your nails, pressed into the creases of your knuckles. That soil contains fragments of the mycelium network, broken fungal threads that were carrying chemical signals between plants when your hand interrupted them. Your hands, for the time they were in the ground, were inside that system. But the exchange between your body and the garden is not limited to what your skin touches. There is a layer of chemistry happening in the air directly above the soil, invisible, measurable, and strange. Your skin bacteria, when exposed to soil microorganisms, increase their metabolic activity and release volatile organic compounds, VOCs, into the air column around you. Some of these compounds are antimicrobial, some are anti-inflammatory, and some are absorbed back into your body through your skin and your lungs as you breathe the air immediately above the garden bed. Researchers studying the airborne microbiome of gardening environments have documented measurable transfer of microbial metabolites between soil, air, and human tissue during outdoor work. The boundary between you and the garden is not just at the point of skin contact, it extends upward into the air you are breathing, into the chemistry floating between your body and the earth. Now, the exchange runs the other direction too, and this part is stranger. When you kneel in soil with bare skin, hands, knees, bare feet if you garden that way, something measurable happens to your blood chemistry within 30 minutes. Your cortisol drops. Your heart rate variability increases. The intervals between heartbeats become more variable, which is a clinical marker of parasympathetic nervous system activation, the body shifting from stress mode into recovery mode. Markers of systemic inflammation decrease. This has been documented repeatedly in electrophysiology studies, and the mechanism is not psychological. It is not because gardening is pleasant, it is electrical. Consider what runs beneath your feet. The surface of the Earth carries a mild, negative charge, a reservoir of free electrons maintained continuously by the planet's electrical activity. Roughly 5,000 lightning bolts strike the Earth every minute, each one depositing electrons into the ground. The Earth's surface is an electron reservoir, constantly replenished. The surface of your body, by contrast, accumulates a mild positive charge through normal metabolic oxidation and through constant contact with insulating synthetic materials, rubber-soled shoes, carpet, plastic chairs. You walk around all day slightly positively charged relative to the ground beneath you. Touch bare skin to soil and electrons flow from the ground into your body along the voltage gradient. This is Ohm's law. A voltage difference exists. A conductive path is created by skin contact and current flows. The electrons that enter your body are free electrons, and free electrons are precisely what neutralizes the reactive oxygen species that drive oxidative stress and chronic inflammation. Here is how that works at the molecular level. A free radical is a molecule with an unpaired electron in its outer shell. That unpaired electron makes the molecule chemically aggressive, pulling electrons from your cell membranes, your proteins, your DNA, damaging structures faster than your repair systems can fix them. A single free electron from the ground fills that empty shell. The radical is neutralized. One electron, one radical, one less source of oxidative damage. The Earth has an essentially unlimited supply. Electrophysiology research has documented it. Cortisol drops measurably within 30 minutes of direct Earth contact, strongest through hands and feet, where skin conductivity is highest. Next time you're out there, put your palms flat on the soil for 30 minutes. The chemistry will change whether you believe it or not. Everything described so far happens at the surface. Your skin, the top inch of soil, the air between them. But inside every cell in your body while you garden, something is happening to a clock you did not know was running. Every chromosome in your body, all 46 of them, in every one of your roughly 37 trillion cells, is capped at both ends by a structure called a telomere. A telomere is a repetitive sequence of DNA that does not code for any protein. It is a protective cap, like the plastic tip on a shoelace, that prevents the chromosome from fraying or fusing with its neighbors. Every time one of your cells divides, the machinery that copies your DNA cannot quite reach the very end. A small piece of the telomere is lost with each division. Year by year, division by division, your telomeres get shorter. Below a critical length, the cell receives a signal, stop. It enters a state called senescence, still alive, still metabolically active, but no longer able to replicate. Or it dies. Telomere length is a biological countdown written into every cell in your body. Shorter telomeres correlate with the diseases of aging, with the gradual loss of tissue regeneration that every person over 60 knows, the joints that recover more slowly, the skin that heals less readily. Longer telomeres correlate with cells that still have divisions left to spend. Here is the thing, sunlight regulates this. Ultraviolet B radiation from the sun, hitting your skin during outdoor gardening, triggers the synthesis of vitamin D, specifically cholecalciferol, which your liver and kidneys convert into the active hormone calcitriol. Calcitriol does many things in your body. One of them, documented by researchers at the University of Utah, is the upregulation of telomerase, the enzyme that rebuilds telomeres, adding those protective sequences back onto the ends of your chromosomes, partially reversing the shortening that accumulates with every cell division. Gardeners who spend regular time outdoors have measurably longer telomeres than age. Match controls who do not. Not because of the exercise of gardening, not because of the vegetables they eat, because of the direct effect of sunlight-driven vitamin D synthesis on the molecular machinery that maintains the ends of their chromosomes. Your biological clock, the one that counts down at the cellular level in every cell with every division, runs slower when you are outside with your hands in the dirt. Your carbon atoms shed into the soil today will not wait for you. Within days, soil bacteria will incorporate your carbon into their own cell walls. building new cellular structures from atoms that were, a week ago, part of the outermost layer of your skin. Within weeks, some of those carbon atoms will be drawn into plant roots through mycorrhizal exchange. The same fungal network Simard mapped in British Columbia operates in your garden at a smaller scale, connecting your tomato plants to one another and to the microbial community beneath them. The fungi take a percentage, roughly 10 to 20% of the carbon flowing through their networks, and pass the rest to the plant. Within 3 months, your carbon will be in the stems, the leaves, the chloroplast that capture sunlight, the sugars that sweeten the fruit. If you grow tomatoes, the tomato you pick in August may contain carbon atoms that were part of the skin on your hands in May. You grew it. It grew from you. The distinction between those two sentences is smaller than you think. Eating yourself back. The cycle does not pause. It does not wait for permission. It is happening now, every time you garden, every time your skin touches the soil. The exchange runs the other direction too. The carbon in the tomato you ate last summer, some of those atoms are in your skin right now. They came from the soil, through the plant, into your kitchen, through your digestive system, into your blood, into the cells sitting on the surface of your hands at this moment. The same hands you will put back into the soil. The cycle continues. This is not a metaphor for the circle of life. This is the circle of life, measured in carbon atoms, traced through bacterial metabolism, mycorrhizal transfer, plant physiology, and human digestion. Every step documented, every transfer measurable with isotope tracing. The atoms do not know whether you are alive or dead. They follow thermodynamic gradients, cycling through whatever biological structures happen to be available. A soil bacterium does not distinguish between carbon from your dead skin cell and carbon from a decomposing leaf. Both are reduced carbon compounds. Both contain energy. The bacterium can extract through oxidation. Both enter the same metabolic pathways. The carbon cycle does not begin at death. It runs continuously through every living thing. You are in it right now. You have always been in it. Gardening is simply the one place where the cycle is close enough to touch. Right now, as you listen to this, your body contains roughly 7 billion atoms. 7 times 10 to the 27th. Not one of them is permanent. Every atom in your body will be replaced within approximately 7 to 10 years through normal metabolic turnover. The atoms in your skin right now were not yours a decade ago. They were somewhere else, in soil, in water, in the air, in the bodies of other living things. Some of the carbon in your hands right now was in someone else's body 10 years ago. Some was in a tree. Some was dissolved in a river. They arrived in you through the food you ate, the water you drank, the air you breathed, and in a decade they will leave you the same way and become part of something else. Not a fixed thing, a pattern that atoms pass through. And gardening is the one activity where you can watch that pattern in real time, where the exchange between your body and the earth is not abstract chemistry happening invisibly inside your cells, but something you can see, something you can smell, something you can feel under your fingernails. When you kneel in a garden and push your hands into the earth, you are not doing something separate from this process. You are accelerating it. You are shedding atoms into the soil food web and absorbing atoms from it in return. You are exchanging electrons with the planet's surface through the conductivity of your skin. You are triggering the molecular repair systems that maintain the ends of your chromosomes. You are touching a fungal communication network that has been running beneath the ground for 450 million years. And you are doing all of this at once, in the same gesture. Your hands in the soil, the sun on your back, the smell of geosmin rising from the earth your bacteria are digesting. Every part of this exchange will continue after you are gone. The soil will still process carbon, the mycelium will still carry signals, the electrons will still flow into whatever touches the ground. The only thing that will change is that the atoms doing the cycling will include more of yours, not different physics, the same physics, running at a different speed. Here is what all of that means, taken together. You came from this soil, not metaphorically, atomically. Every carbon atom in your body was cycled through the Earth's crust, through microbial communities, through plant roots, through the food chain, before it arrived in you. Every atom obeyed the same thermodynamics on its way in as it will obey on its way out. And every atom in your body will return to that cycle, not someday in the distant future, but continuously, right now, 30,000 cells per hour, with every breath you exhale, every hour you spend with your hands in the ground. The difference between you and the garden is not a boundary, it is a speed. The atoms are already crossing. The exchange is already underway. You are not preparing to enter the carbon cycle someday. You have been in it since the day you were born. You will be in it long after. The soil does not distinguish between the cells you shed today and the body you will leave behind eventually. It processes both the same way, with bacteria, with fungi, with the same ancient chemistry that has been cycling carbon through living things for 3.5 billion years. Right now, if you have a garden, the soil contains atoms that were part of your body last month. Your body contains atoms that were in the soil last year. You are already becoming the garden. The garden is already becoming you. The physics does not distinguish between the two. That is what you are touching when you put your hands in the dirt.